I'm Ari Gronich, and this is Create a New Tomorrow podcast. And welcome back to another episode of Create a New Tomorrow. I am your host, Ari Gronich, and today I have with me a close friend of mine, Vanessa Raymond. She is an amazing Achieve Systems leader. Let me just give you a little bit about her background. As a result of her experience in the performance and beauty and fitness industries, Vanessa created her self-image and confidence coaching business. She is an author, speaker, multiple business owner, and a confidence coach. She has a program that she calls the V Factor, kind of a double entendre, Vanessa, victory, and very awesome. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the V Factor? What got you into doing this in general, and just how you got started?
Thank you, Ari. Thanks for having me. It's so good to be here. And well, the Victory Factor has gone through a few changes. It started around about in 2005 when I was performing around the world, but I was also a part-time fitness professional. I was a Pilates instructor, which I still am. I say I still am. I was teaching Pilates daily whenever I wasn't traveling. And I just realized that with everything that I had done in the performance industry, I went to college for musical theater. It was a journey. I grew up dancing, singing, and acting. I always just wanted to be on stage. And then one day I had an experience in the Pilates studio with a client that just kind of was that light bulb moment that I realized that everything that I had done and everything that I was doing had so much more meaning than just maybe helping someone lose weight or helping them out of pain or helping them strengthen their body. And I realized that through the work that I do with the fitness industry, with posture and body language, that was part of my performance world, I could help a lot of people improve their self-image and self-confidence, which was an amazing epiphany for me, because it wasn't just anymore about, oh, okay, so I want to lose 10 pounds, or I have an achy hip. Can you help me with that? Through doing that with my clients, I saw some amazing results in the human beings that they were and the changes that they were going through as people. And also, of course, the changes that I went through, understanding, going through audition to audition, going from rejection to acceptance, and realizing that we all have that journey in some capacity in our life, no matter what avenue we are in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people glamorize a bit the performance and entertainment industries, and they don't see all of the dirty work that goes into the background of it. And so yeah, that's a pretty awesome thing to have pulled out of it. And I like that you stated the rejection side of it, from a rejection to acceptance, because isn't that one of human beings' biggest fears, is that of not being accepted, that of not being liked, that of being rejected in life. And for an actor, for a performer, that's a daily occurrence, sometimes 5-10 times a day, right?
Correct. And you're as a dancer, I found myself in front of mirrors every day of my life, and you're always assessing and criticizing yourself, as well as comparing you with everyone else in the class or at the audition or whatever it may be. And then, I always love to tell the story that I have many stories, but the one that really stands out for me was when I went to this audition for the show that I really, really wanted so bad. Everyone wanted this gig, and I knew I had done amazing at this audition. They only had two parts available, two spots. And you go home, you wait for the phone call, and the phone call came, and I kid you not, the words from the director on the phone was, Vanessa, you danced circles around the other girls, but you got to lose those thighs. And I was like, okay, I was young. I didn't know what to do with that. I was devastated. Devastated. The first thing I did was pick up the phone and call my mom and say, Mom, I need liposuction, right? Because you're like, I'm dancing 8 hours a day. I'm eating healthy. What more you want me to do, right? So those are the types of experiences I talk about. And then also just learning to step away from it and to understand where that is coming from and what the motivation behind it is for that person, whoever it is. And that quite often when people criticize us, either it's just not where we need to be, or it's their problem, not ours, you know.
Yeah, it's typically the latter,
Yes,
right?
typically it is.
Typically, the things that people say negatively towards us are typically because they are uncomfortable with whatever the success or pain that we're going through.
Exactly.
You know,
Correct.
that's the whole fix it mentality. I have to fix it because I'm uncomfortable with the brokenness of you,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm. Yeah, or you know, that's exactly it. Or sometimes, not in this instance or this specific story, but sometimes it's something within themselves that they are missing, and they're recognizing it, or they're projecting it onto others.
Right. How did growing up in South Africa affect what you became, so to speak, affect your personality, affect who and how you are? I
I
think people
want,
noticed your accent.
yes, probably. I want to say, I don't think it's so much South Africa as it is my family, my home, my parents. Look, South Africa is way removed from here. And I think with the culture of South Africa, there's definitely a workhorse culture there. I find South Africans, and I'm generalizing, but myself, we're very hard workers, and we have a lot of tenacity, and as far as what the country's been through and the politics thereof, we've had to have a lot of endurance to keep going. But I did grow up in a very supportive, stable home, and I feel that really shaped me as someone who is very grateful for everything that I ever had and for everything that I'm ever to have. And I, you know, part of my growing up as a dance student and a piano student and all those things, those of you who can't identify with that, even if you're in any type of sport, it really gives you that grounding of, you know, efficacy. I'm capable. I can do this. And so there's the two sides of the coin. It really is there to improve our confidence and to show us that we are capable. And then, you know, you step into the big bad world and you get blasted from every side, and that can really diminish those feelings.
Right.
But if we have a good foundation, we can always make our way back. And that was literally my journey, I would say.
That's awesome. I love that. So you're part of an interview series that I'm doing with all the leaders of Achieve Systems, and I'm doing this. I kind of stated it earlier because I've been part of the Achieve Systems family about 14 or so years. You and I have known each other around that long, and and you know, I get fascinated in business and especially in the healing arts with the fact that it feels like people are afraid of receiving for their good works, right? For the healing. And I'm not sure if that goes back to or like a religious kind of connotation or a, you know, thing like that. But Achieve Systems has really decided that just won't do, that the healers need to be earning an income and having a status of somebody who's revered in a society, right? And so I'm curious as to what your role is in the Achieve systems, and what made you decide to be part of it a long, long time ago, back in the day with me in Las Vegas.
I'll start there. I, as you now know, I've been performing on stages around the world. I've always been in the fitness industry because of my dance background. But I got to a point where traveling and performing was kind of getting old, and I wanted to move on, and I wanted to do something new, and I needed some change in my life. So I decided to start my own fitness business with a partner back in Las Vegas, back in the day. But it dawned on me that I had no clue what I was doing. Look, I've never been an entrepreneur. At that point, I didn't even know, okay, well, should my business be an LLC or a C Corp, or what am I supposed to do? So, good old Google was in existence then. And I went on and I said, fitness business help, because I was doing it, but I wasn't thriving. I was barely making ends meet, to be honest. And so I found Achieve, and they happened to have a conference in Las Vegas where I was living at the time, round about that time. So I signed up for the conference and I went, and that's where I met Robert, who sat me down, and it was mind blowing, because here was this man who really didn't know me at all, but he had this huge vision for me. He could see way beyond where I ever imagined myself going. And of course, I was a skeptic. I was like, okay. And then you hear about Achieve, you hear about everything they do, and you go, okay, what's the catch, right? This sounds way too good to be true. So it took me a while. I did my research. I had to really, really figure this system out, because it can be kind of daunting. There's so much to it. But I did join. I ended up joining, I think it was 2008. And I have since married the CEO, and and now there's no way out for me anymore. But I'll tell you that without Achieve, I would not be where I am today. Everything that I've done since has been inspired by Achieve systems and the vision of the leader. I never imagined I would write education and I'll be out there educating educators. And I never imagined I would be an international and national speaker. I never, maybe the speaking part, yes, because of my performance background, but just what I've accomplished, not only professionally, but also financially, I could have never done without Achieve Systems. And so to answer your question, what I do in Achieve Systems now, I am the education leader. I head up the education department. One of the revenue streams that we encourage our members to take on is to create education in their niche. And we do that because that is one of the best ways to create residual and passive income in your business.
Yeah, it's also a great way to create that branding side of, I am the expert in this field.
Yes, the credibility and the branding, absolutely.
Right. So so basically what you're saying is you help all of the therapists and nutritionists and healers create their system, and then turn that into the system that they can then teach others. So, for my selfishness, right, I created a course, Performance Therapy Academy. And I did that because I'm very selfish and I want people who can work on me. So if you're selfish too, and you think you're the best at what you do, and you want people to be able to work on you the way that you work on them, this is like the most powerful thing you can do, is start teaching it, right?
Right. Well, and it's just too, absolutely, Ari, you make me laugh. It's also that there's only one of you, there's only one of me, and you do amazing work, but you can only help so many people when you are doing it on your own. If you spread the message and you teach others how you do what you do, and you mentor them into being able to be really good at it, you are reaching so many more people with your good work. And that's really what attracted me to the education. Aside from that, my first education program I did was a kettlebell certification program. And the thing that brought me the most joy was being able to offer opportunities to other fitness professionals to create more income and credibility for themselves. And that was really what was the driving force for me. Yes, of course, I love the passive income, and I love creating. I'm a creator, I'm a creative. I loved creating the program. But in the end, when my master trainers come to me, for example, I'll use Robin as an example. She's here in Denver. A few years ago, she called me up and she said, Vanessa, I wanted to thank you because that last training that I taught allowed me to take my son to Disneyland. And that is the stuff that lights me up.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's really cool what you could do with 20 people in a room for a weekend instead of one-on-one clients too. I mean, as far as your income and your lifestyle, like anytime you want a little boost to your lifestyle, you say, hey, I'm teaching a class next week. It's a couple $100. I'm looking for 20 people, and now you have your vacation money. So,
Boom.
I mean, that's a pretty awesome benefit to being an Achieve Systems member. What is, like there, I know there's a lot of revenue streams, and I'm kind of going to be interviewing the leadership for each of the different ones, but what is your, your reason for wanting to be the coach's coach? Because you're now in a position where you're helping teach the teachers, train the trainers. And that is one, it holds a high responsibility, a high level of responsibility, but also you're kind of in the view now of the community. So you have to live at that higher level regularly anyway. So, tell us about that. What's it like living at a different level than like where you started, right? It was an apartment in Vegas and traveling to cruise ships and around the world performing.
Yes.
So your lifestyle now, give us a little bit of before and after.
The life as a performer, I wouldn't exchange for anything. It was an amazing experience and it was my ultimate dream. Then I got to the point where, okay, now I've done that. Now what? Right? Okay, so I've reached my ultimate dream. Where do I go from here? And that's really what led me on this path, Ari. And now I look at myself, I'm well established. I have a beautiful family, a wonderful husband. I'm a multiple business owner. Life is just so full. And I don't think, for me, I never really, I always felt like I've been able to rise higher than I set my goals. And now I'm trying to set my goals higher. So I keep reaching. I feel that it's just a journey. For me, it was just a journey. And Achieve was probably the main force that got me there. And I don't really think of myself as a higher status or a higher, I just find a lot of satisfaction. And like I said, a lot of my joy comes from helping others. And now I'm able to help them on a much higher level because I'm not just working with the consumer and the client, right? I'm working with the educator, with the creators. And that's just a higher level of joy, a higher level of satisfaction for me. That's what I thrive on, is seeing others thrive.
Right. So, kind of leading you on to this, what's your personal mission in life? Like, if you could look back and think, what is it that I'm going to be remembered for? What is it that I, accomplished? If your personal mission, what is your personal mission in life?
To help as many women. I love working with women, maybe just because I am one. I work with anybody though, but entrepreneurs, speakers, leaders. I don't want, I want to help them fast track through that process of I'm not worthy. I don't know if I can charge this price, because I want to help them raise their level of confidence and understand that there's a place for them in this world. And specifically in this industry, in the health and wellness industry, I don't only work in the health and wellness industry, but because this is my passion, I feel a lot of us sell ourselves short. A lot of us are still in that mind space of, I'm just here to help people. I don't really need anything from anyone. No, we are worthy. We are giving what the world needs. And we need to, there has to be a reciprocation there. And if you can own your worth and understand that, then when people invest in their health and when people invest in their businesses, that they make so much more out of it than if you discount your services. They get more out of it. It's a subconscious thing for most people, but when you invest in something, when you invest in yourself, whether it is to relieve pain or whether it is to create education, whatever it is you're investing in, you are going to work extra hard to make that happen. And so we are enabling you to do better. And that's my mission, just to help the people that want my help with their self-image and self-confidence so that they can stand up and say, you know what? I am offering something that is needed in the world and I am worth it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Jim Rohn has a saying that I love, and that is, if you work hard at your job, you can make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. And that's exactly what you teach. And so, again, leading you in, how does that personal mission tie into the overall mission of Achieve Systems?
That really is the overall mission of Achieve Systems. When Robert started Achieve, it was all about, well, and back in the day, I don't know exactly. I really need to ask him exactly when the business started, but back in the day, 20 years ago or 30 years ago, it was all about him creating success for himself and his business and realizing that other professionals in his industry are struggling financially. They're closing their doors, or they're not able to thrive. And he recognized that early on. And through the growth of Achieve, he started with only fitness professionals, and Achieve has grown into this beautiful health and wellness community. Anybody in health and wellness, from fitness, nutrition, therapy, we have life coaches, health coaches, nurses, chiropractors, name it. It's about understanding the business world, because most of us, we get so good at our craft. We study to be great therapists or be great nutritionists or whatever it is we are doing, but no one teaches us about business and how to grow wealth. And that is the goal of Achieve, is to help every health and wellness professional, no matter what level you are in your business. We help you level up your business and go to the next level of running your business, helping more people, and upping your income.
That's awesome. But I think you left something out.
What?
So I don't fly to Colorado 3, 4, 5 times a year. Okay. For all of that.
The community.
Community. That's the thing that I think that people miss more than anything else. Because there's business training online on Google. I mean, Google your Google Finance, Google Doctor, Google Nutrition, Google everything. You don't need anybody anymore. All you need is Google, right? So the fact of the matter is, to me, Achieve Systems is a family.
Yes, it is.
And the key is that not only are you getting, yes, all of this business advice and resources and revenue streams and yada, 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 because that's all the boring, minutia, right? But when you
Right.
go there, you get the hugs, you get the love, you get the rubs, you get the good food, you get you get that community feeling. And most of us therapists, especially if you're a good therapist or especially if you're one of the elite, right? You're typically working in a bubble where you don't have others to bounce your ideas off of, to bounce your treatments and your clinicals and your all of these things. You're working on an island. And when we come together and we collaborate and we chat and we, go over a client that's been frustrating us or a patient that, we have the support of this community. And that to me is why 14 years later, I'm still around, right? It's
Right, Ari. The community, you are exactly right. And the interesting thing is that we are a network. We are not a networking group, but that is what organically happens. And the people, like you say, we are a family. Everybody in the community are here for the same reason. But one of the main reasons people are here, and you are correct for pointing it out, is we are very alone in business as entrepreneurs, as solopreneurs, and as you say, as people who exceed at our craft, at our passion. Having the support of a like-minded community, people that think like you think, and people that do what you do. And not only that, we're all in the same industry, but it's a broad spectrum of what everyone does. We can all support each other. We can all refer each other. We can collaborate. We can power partner up. We can do projects together like we're doing now. There's just so much to go around. And what I love about Achieve is there's such an abundance mindset within Achieve. There's no such thing as scarcity. There's no competition. There's none of that. Everybody is here to thrive. Everybody's here for the same reason, and everybody's here to support each other. And you are right. That is quite often the main attraction and why our members stick around for so long.
Yeah, I think that that's the missing link in the world in general these days is live connection, right? Hanging out eyeball to eyeball, you know,
Yes,
breath
and
to,
especially now in the last year, I mean,
yeah,
everyone
breath
is
to
more
breath.
aware of that.
Exactly.
Everyone
Yeah, I
go.
mean, we're just missing it. And so this is something that to me Achieve does in spades. And, like I said, if you're somebody who's looking for a community of people to grow a business with and to grow a lifestyle with and to grow a life with in general, where you can actually call people up and say, hey, I got this thing I'm doing, this webinar I want to do. Can you share it out to your list? And hey, would you mind being one of the speakers on it? I have, and then let's share some of our freebies and let's bundle our packages together. Hey, and then another person, hey, I'm going to do something else. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the other thing that I think is kind of like a passion of mine and a little bit of yours, which is the corporate wellness. And I wanted to bring it up last because corporate wellness to me is like it's like this wall. It's a rubber wall and it's starting to bend, but 27 years I've been doing this stuff. And I know that sounds, I got grays. There's grays. I am actually, yeah. So 27 years I've been doing this stuff, and the corporate wellness veil is just starting to get penetrated after 27 years. Now you've been able to penetrate that market a bit. What are the things, number one, that Achieve does to help people get into corporations? So if they're wanting to do this kind of work, they have like a plan and a system to get into it. But also, what have you found is the biggest like headstones that you're running up against, meaning their head is like stone and they don't hear what you're saying? So what is that? And how do we start moving that so that we could create that new tomorrow today?
As far as what Achieve does, look, Robert's also been in the corporate health and wellness realm for a very, very long time. Getting into large corporations with a wellness program can be daunting. It is about getting to the right people, and then quite often the right people really don't understand all the benefits of certain things within a health and wellness program for a corporation, because they're not those, they're corporate people. They're not movers. They're not people that do therapy. They're not people that really understand how that affects our lives and mindset and wellness. So from Achieve's point of view, look, Achieve Systems is called Achieve Systems for a reason, because there's a system for everything. And there are great templates and great systems and packets. Robert has a packet for everything, as you know. Great packets that helps you and guides you as to how to do this. What's the wording you need to use when you go in there? What are the points you need to really harp on when you speak to this corporate CEO or to the PR person, whoever you end up talking to? Who are the people that you really need to get this implemented? And so there's a system that guides you in the right direction, because it can be really tough. I was very lucky. I work with Visa Corporate. Now, I am not their main health and wellness person. I'm the Highlands Ranch person. I'm the Denver person. Of course, Visa is international, so they're huge. They have people everywhere. But just helping them manage their wellness program, their corporate wellness program, has been a great learning experience. And yeah, it's really about making these people understand and for the corporate head, you really want to talk money, and you really want your numbers figured out and understand how keeping their employees healthy and well mentally and physically is really going to, in the end, change the bottom line of income and gross profit and all that stuff. So you kind of got to go from your wellness mind into that financial corporate mind to be able to tap in with large corporations as far as that goes. And then also make sure you have a good program that covers all of the bases. You want to be able to have a holistic program that really covers all the bases for them. And therefore, I'm the fitness director for Visa Corporate in Denver. There is someone that does the nutrition part, and there is someone that does. But if you have a holistic program, look, they have a company that runs all this for them. And so, yeah, if you want to be that company, we can help you put that together too.
Absolutely. I used to do a talk. I'm probably gonna redo it, and I'm thinking actually about the possibility of teaching this particular talk and just having it be something that other therapists can use in their local communities. But I talk about presenteeism, and it's a word that not a lot of people know. But presenteeism basically means that you're present, you're accounted for, you're clocked in but you're not really there. So you're watching Free Cell, you're thinking about your back pain, you're looking at the wall and the spider that's been walking across it for an hour. You're just not there. And that accounts for more cost to a corporation than their workers' comp and injury claims, their sick days and sick leave, their employee turnover put together. It's approximately, and going down, 3 hours for every 8 hours of workday that a person is actually
Present.
and focused and working. And so basically, you get an hour out of each employee more, and you've just completely shifted an entire company. And that's, I guess, the thing that I wanted to get across to these companies. And so wondering, for you, how you found that to be, because they're a rough crew when all they think of is hard costs, because you can't quantify in hard costs a soft cost number like productivity.
No, you can't. But I think, in working with Visa, the caliber of company that is, they clearly understand that, because if you see their facilities, I mean, the gym that I teach out of in their corporate building, it's not big, but it's outfitted and it has everything it needs. And they understand, and they give their employees that hour a day to come into the gym and work out with me, because they know they can get up from their desk, get away from the screen, come and do something physical. And when they get back to their desk, they are way more productive. And I know that for a fact. I've been with Visa for 11 years. And I know my clients there. I know everyone there has been with me, and they come to me between 3 to 5 days a week every day. And I see the joy in their eyes and their need to be there, because they can't wait for that moment when they can go and freshen up and get some movement in. And so that by the time they get back to their desks, they're revitalized, and they're refocused, and they're ready to go. And I think a lot of larger corporations really understand that, but it's our job as health and wellness professionals to really go into the market and make those corporations that aren't there yet understand the value of that.
Absolutely. I wanted to give one last place where people, if they're listening to this and they're thinking like, how can a chief be of help to me and stuff? You've gotten military contracts. I've worked a lot with military when I was in Los Angeles. And so what's the benefit and what's the need that you've seen with the military when it comes to getting military contracts? Because that's an area I think that the private sector in health and wellness has woefully ignored, not even thinking that they have that opportunity, let alone, thinking, hey, I could do that. So yeah, give us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was a surprise to me, because I think also as a civilian and as a normal person, we don't really think that there's room for us in the military, that there's a way to get involved. And I was lucky because the military actually reached out to me. So I guess, they did. They found my kettlebell program on the internet, and
On the interwebs.
the internet, the web, aging myself here too, on the web, and approached me and said, hey, we really love what your program is about. Can you come out and train our trainers? And honestly, I mean, this might be ignorant, and this was already 10 years ago or 8 years ago. I didn't know they had trainers, right? I was like, I just thought the officers are the officers and they do boot camp and they, but they have personal trainers that train the troops. And so they had me come in and certify them in my program. And so that was a great learning experience. And that's where I learned that, there's a lot of other opportunities within the military. And all we have to do really is reach out. Now, each base kind of stands on its own as far as that goes. So it doesn't mean if you're at one base, you're going to be involved in all the bases. But that's a good place to start, is to get into one base with what you do. Because for the Army, one of their most important things is keeping their troops healthy, mentally and physically healthy. And I just always presumed, okay, it was the officer's job to keep the troops in place, but I didn't realize how many civilians actually get involved. So if you are a health and wellness professional, you can definitely reach out to any of these military bases with what you do and talk to the people there. They are totally open to it. And you can go in and get fully involved and help the troops.
Absolutely. I just, I'm passionate about, I love, it's like, I'm a weird guy, right? People would call me a hippie or a lefty, and then other people would call me a righty. I don't have an opinion other than the exact one for that moment, nuanced thinking, but I'm passionate about the troops. I've had several friends who were Vietnam vets, one a POW for 5 years, came back, became addicted to heroin while in Vietnam, because the Army really taught him very well how to do that. And as a POW, he comes back and he gets put into prison for 15 years and spends 9 of those in the hole, so to speak. And so I started working with vets. When I was in LA, we used to do an event every year, 2,500 vets that we would feed for Christmas. And I started working with them in their PTSD, and I just felt like it's our duty as civilians to care, but I think that we do care. We just don't know. We don't know that it's even possible for us to be able to do that. And it's a thing. I think if you're not serving in a military, you can serve the government by serving the people who are, right? That way you're
just like you say, I didn't know that if you're not enrolled in the military, you can still be there. You can still do stuff. You can still help them get where they're going.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to end this call. I've had an amazing time. I love talking to you, as you know. And so I always finish the episode with 3 tips, tricks, things that people can implement immediately to change their life, create a new tomorrow today, and activate their vision for a better world. So,
right. 3 tips and tools. That's my specialty. My mom always said, if we take care of our own, no one else will have to. And therefore, I am so passionate about us taking care of ourselves as human beings. And that's why the whole self-image and self-confidence thing has become so important to me, because it's such a big part of life. It's such a big part of being successful in life. And it's such a big part of taking care of yourself. So number 1, I would definitely say, just raise your awareness. Just every day, be present in the moment. Be aware of people around you, what they need, and how who you are. Just by being yourself, you can brighten up their day, whether it's a smile, whether it's a hello, just a word, just a wink, whatever it might be. It doesn't have to be something that costs anything. It doesn't have to be anything large. Just be aware of how you are showing up in the world and how that supports others. So that would be tip number 1. Number 2, I would say, allow yourself time to be prepared for whatever it is you are stepping into in the world. Dream big. Don't stop dreaming. Set those goals higher than high. Reach for the stars. You cannot reach too high, because the higher you reach, the more hope and the more will there is to reach that goal. And even if you don't reach that high, you will still reach higher than you would have if you weren't dreaming, if you weren't setting those goals. And give yourself time to prepare by taking care of yourself and your body and who you are and your mindset. And then number 3, something I teach and something people might not really think about on a daily basis. It's not revolutionary, but I just said show up in a way that people can relate to you or you can support people. But a big tool that I give people is posture. Think about your posture. Think about how you stand, how you sit, how you walk. Not only does that give you an air of confidence and an air of, I've got this, but it helps eliminate pain in your body and it helps you feel in charge of your life. It's been proven through university studies that if you change the way you move, if you change the way you act, it changes the way you feel. Quite often we give into the way we feel. What happens to our posture and our body language when we're feeling depressed, when we're feeling down? We go inward. The whole body takes on that posture. You can change it by changing the way your body language is, the way you stand, the posture you take on can change the chemistry in your brain and the way you feel. That's a powerful tool that people underestimate. So be aware, give yourself time to prepare, dream big, and change your posture.
That is awesome.
That's 4 things.
Yeah, that is awesome. There's an old saying, I don't remember who said it, but I'm gonna paraphrase it. Hopefully I don't butcher it. But the saying is, a man's reach should exceed his grasp, or else what's heaven for? And with that note, I'm gonna leave you all on that thought. Get your posture straight. Get your smile a little bit friendly and treat people kindly. And if you're interested in working with Vanessa, learning about the V Factor or any of her other programs or Achieve Systems, you can contact her at
Vanessa@victoryfactor.com.
Awesome. And if they want to just follow you and hang out watching your stuff?
I love new friends on Facebook, you guys. You can look me up, Vanessa Raymond. I'm in Denver. And I'm also on Instagram, Vanessa Raymond 04. Instagram.com/Vanessa Raymond 04. But yeah, find me on Facebook.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. This has been another episode of Create a New Tomorrow. I am your host, Ari Gronich. And remember, we are creating a new tomorrow today, activating our vision for a better world. So let's make it happen and let's collaborate together. One of my new favorite sayings is stop gathering to complain and start collaborating for solutions to succeed. So Achieve Systems is a really good place to start that journey if you're a therapist or in the health and wellness industry. So thank you so much again, Vanessa, for being here.
Thank you, Ari. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. I appreciate all you do to create a new tomorrow for yourself and those around you. If you'd like to take this information further and are interested in joining a community of like-minded people who are all passionate about activating their vision for a better world, go to the website createanewtomorrow.com and find out how you can be part of making a bigger difference. I have a gift for you just for checking it out and look forward to seeing you take the leap and joining our private paid mastermind community. Until then, see you on the next episode.